live. Hi, Patsy.
Hi, Patsy. Yeah, it's chilly for us here, too. It's 14 degrees Celsius or 57 degrees Fahrenheit.
Unless you read it from my watch, then it's, you've got 16 degrees C.
No, I have 14. You have 15.
Oh, well, I'm hot. Sure. That's probably it. So we'll just give everybody a moment. Patsy, can you hear us and see us okay? I think you should. I did turn on the microphone. Yes, I did. Good. Okay. That's a good sign. And yeah, so some things to talk about today. One thing I may talk about for quite a while, but whatever. Well, we'll wait and see. Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Donna. So, hope everybody's had a good week. We've had a weird week. We've had some ups. We've had some downs. It's been a weird week, but we'll tell you all about it. Patsy says video and sound is good. Okay, that's good. So we'll just wait a few more seconds, see who else is going to join us. My back is killing me. Oh.
It's called stress.
Yes, I know what it is. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Nancy. So, yeah, it has been a stressful couple of days. Hi, Andy. And so I guess we might as well get started. So you heard me say that having some back pain. Actually, every muscle in my body seems to be aching right now, and it is stress. And you know who gives me the most stress, besides Walter, would be my mother. My mother. Okay. This is kind of serious, though, right now. And when I talk about serious things that are personal for me, I will make sarcastic comments because that's just my way of coping. That's always been my way of coping with things that I really don't know how to cope with. Hi, Billy. So, what's going on with my mother? Well, I had a FaceTime with her on Tuesday, as I usually do. They were still quarantined, although they're supposed to have lifted it this weekend because they've got things under control there for the COVID situation. Hi, Marilyn. Marilyn. And so anyways, I talked to her via FaceTime, and it was the usual kind of conversation. I asked her how things were, anything new, and she gave me basically, well, I don't know, answers, which I'm used to. So anyways, later in the week, though, I got a call from some Friday morning. The phone rang. My cell phone rang at 4:45 in the morning, 4:45 a.m. Well, you know, when your phone goes off at that time of the night or morning or whatever it is, you do think the worst. And what did I see come up on my phone but Glen Hill Terraces, which is the name of my mother's nursing home, and I went, uh-oh. I mean, they call me on a regular basis, but not usually at 4:45 in the morning. So I answered it, and so they told me that they were shipping my mother off to the hospital because her oxygen levels were low again, very low. She had shallow breathing, and they felt that she needed to go to the hospital. Hi, Marlene. And get checked out because they wanted to make sure pneumonia had not come back or anything like that. Although they said that she was alert, or seemed to be, and she didn't seem to be having any distress, but they were sending her anyways. I said, okay, fine, great. So she'd been sent in August, in the middle of August, if you remember, I was talking about it, for the same thing. And basically she spent many hours in the hospital, in the emergency, and eventually they said she had non-viral pneumonia at the time, put her on antibiotics, and shipped her back to the nursing home. Well, this time, they decided that, well, one doctor was checking her out, and they took blood work, and they were getting that all done. They took her vitals. Her vitals were good, but she did seem to have a bit of a complaint. They were sort of pressing on her abdomen, and they pressed down a little bit lower, and she kind of went, ouch. And so the doctor said to her, well, does that hurt? And she said, well, a little bit, or something like that. I don't know.
Well, the other thing is that they also asked you that she was non-responsive.
Yeah.
Until they did that.
Yeah, that she was, yeah, okay. Jump ahead in the story.
Okay.
All right. The sound is tiny and echoes, Teresa says. What? Okay, what do you mean tinny and echoes? Something else on here shouldn't be on here? Yeah, that's because I've got the wrong microphone on. I got to that. Okay, that should be better. Okay, thanks, Teresa. I turned on the wrong microphone. I should get rid of that one so I don't see that on that one, and I won't turn it off wrong. But anyways, so now what was I talking about?
Your mother, she's in the hospital.
Yeah, okay.
Poked her stomach.
Okay, they were poking at her stomach in that, and they thought there was pain. So they were going to do a scan of some sort. And she, yeah, UTI. Well, no, actually, Nancy, it's not, as you're going to find out. So anyways, they were going to do a scan, and they were going to do an x-ray. They were doing blood work, and they're checking her all out. So that was at 4:45 or 5 in the morning when she went off to the hospital. I finally got a call from the hospital. Well, I called them first to find out what was going on. And of course, you know, it takes time in the hospital for these things. So anyways, I finally did get a call from them at one point. They said they were going to do this scan because she had this little pain down there. They want to make sure, I guess, that she wasn't having a bowel obstruction. That's the word I want. And everything like that. And of course, I had to give my consent to it. So I said, yeah, sure. And then they asked me a whole stream of questions. You know, does she have any real allergies to anything? You know, that kind of stuff. I said, no, blah, 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 blah. So about, I don't know what time it was.
It was around noon.
When I got a call from...
Well, I don't know if you got a call earlier than that, but you did get a call at noon later on.
Well, I got a call at one point, too. I'm getting times mixed up here. Where they said about they were going to do this. And they said, she seems very non-responsive. And I said, that's normal. I said, she's like that all the time. They said, okay. They kind of thought, the nurse said, she said, I kind of thought this might be normal. But she says, I thought I'd ask. So I told her that. And I said, so that way they did the tests and everything. Well, after sometime in the afternoon or whatever, they called me to tell me that, yep, the scan found nothing. The x-rays found nothing. Her lungs were fine and everything like that. She was low on oxygen. They had her on 2 liters of oxygen. And the little pain she had in her stomach, well, the doctor thought it might be a slight bout of, and I can't say it.
Diverticulosis.
And he was putting her on antibiotics, so they were shipping her back to the nursing home. Well, when I say they were shipping her back to the nursing home, I had to make arrangements to have a private company, ambulance company, come and get her and the whole bit, and that costs about $300. So, you know, but that's the only way we can do it.
Last time they sent her there with ambulance, you never got any
Nope, I never got a bill for that part going. But anyway, so she was back at the nursing home. Now, they couldn't pick her up, though, until 6:30 to 7 o'clock that evening. And this was in the middle of the afternoon that I made the arrangements. I could have gone over to the hospital, but she doesn't care whether I'm around or not because she's completely non-responsive to me anyways at the best of times. Plus, I'm the only person that can go over there, and you know what it's like. She's in an emergency. I would be sitting in a waiting room, and I'd be there all day. It wasn't going to make any difference whether I was there or not there. So let them do their job. So anyways, they did. And she got picked up around 6:30, 6:45, and they got her back to the home. So I phoned over at about 8 o'clock because I wasn't sure exactly how long it would take them. I mean, the hospital's not that far away, but from her nursing home. But, you know, never know how their time thing is working. So I gave a call about 8 o'clock and I asked how her condition was. And they said, well, she was in bed. Of course, I expected that. She was on her oxygen. She was being sort of non-responsive. And they were saying, too, that she was not, they were having a hard time getting medication into her. And and getting her to drink anything or eat anything and that kind of thing. So I said, well, okay. They didn't seem to be putting up a big alarm about this, but anyway, so I let it go. So I figured, okay, I got a call Saturday morning from Nurse Betty. I don't know who she is, but that's what she called herself. She was Nurse Betty, very pleasant. And she says to me, okay, just want to call you because she says, I'm not sure if you know or not, but your mother's on antibiotics. I said, yeah, antibiotics. She was in the hospital last night. I said, I'm pretty much up to speed with all of that. How's she doing? Well, the lady kind of hesitated. The nurse kind of hesitated. She was picking her words. She said, well, I'm having a very difficult time getting any medication into your mother. She is locking down her jaw and we're not getting any fluids into her and she's not eating anything. And I said, well, that's not good. And she said, no. She says she's very pale. She's very, very frail. And I says, yes, she's been going downhill for quite a while now. And she said, well, she might be, I said, dying. I said, you don't have to pussyfoot around me, okay? I've been this route before. I said, that's fine. Just tell me what you think. Don't worry about sparing my feelings or anything because I don't have any. And she said, well, she says, I see that there's a no resuscitation order on her. And I said, yes. And she said she's at, I call it DEFCON 3. They call it something else, care level 3 or something like that. I'm not absolutely sure there's a name for it. Basically, it's a 4-level program, I guess they have, that dictates how they will handle a situation with someone who is basically going down the tubes. So she's recommended that maybe we move that designation up to DEFCON 2. And I said, what does DEFCON 2 involve? She says, well, basically, we try our best to, if there has to be any tests, we do them in-house. We do our best, to keep them comfortable, to try and get medication into them if they're on anything and all that kind of stuff. And I said, so that means, and I said, well, what's DEFCON 1? And she said, well, that's basically palliative care and the end of life. And I said, okay, fine. She said, so you might want to have that level, because of her situation, moved to level 2. And I said, yes. I said, I think that sounds like a good idea. How do I do that? So apparently I have to sign a form or something. So I have to go in and get this arranged. I actually sent an email this morning out to the people who are involved with this to ask them what the procedure is. I mean, I don't expect an answer today because it's Sunday. So they just have the weekend staff on there. But come Monday, I should get something from them. So in the meantime, I'm telling Walter all about this Saturday. And I said, maybe I should go around and see her. But the problem is, I wasn't sure if I could because of the COVID situation over there. I mean, they had 3 cases on her floor. They were supposedly all looked after, and they said they were going to open things back up on the weekend. But I phoned over anyways, and they told me only an essential caregiver can come in right now. Well, I'm listed as an essential caregiver, as the one on that, so I could go. So Walter took me over and dropped me off while he went off to do some other shopping or whatever. I said, it's going to take them longer to give me the COVID test, the rapid test, than it will be for how long I'll be there with my mother. So I went in, did all the stuff you have to do, got tested. I came back negative, of course, and everything. Went up to see her. I have suspected because it was now at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and she has, after she has her lunch, if she eats anything, she has a little lie down, a little nap. And when she does that, my mother's a very sound sleeper, and if you wake her up from it, she is pretty dopey. Not unlike you when you're awakened in the morning. Anyways, I went in the room. No, she was wide awake. There was something on TV. They had her sitting up. There was about 8 cups of fluids with straws in them sitting on one of those tables, they roll over the bed kind of a deal. There was everything. There was chocolate milk, which she loves. There was apple juice. There was ginger ale. There was orange juice and a bunch of other things. And I thought, oh, it looks to me like they've been trying to get her to drink and she's not drinking. Well, I'm looking at her. She's looking right through me. She was like a zombie. I said, Mom, hi, Mom. How you feeling? No answer. She didn't even blink. She's staring right at me, but her jaw is clenched. Like, it's like this. Like, in other words, you couldn't have got a crowbar in there to pry it open. And I said, so, Mom, do you know who it is? It's Stephen. Nothing. Absolutely no response of any kind. Not even, like, I didn't expect really much of a verbal response, but there wasn't even a look in her eye like she knew who I was or what was going on. She didn't even blink. So I thought, oh, this is not good. Hi, Laura. So I tried to talk to her some more, and she did. It was like no one was home. You know, like I swear you could have hit her with a transport truck and she wouldn't have moved. So I went out and I talked to one of the nurses. I was looking for Nurse Betty, but they didn't know who Nurse Betty was or whatever. But I talked to one of the others, staff in there, and she says, yeah, she says, we've been trying to get her to drink and she's refusing to do that. I said, what about food? They said the same. And I said, okay. I said to this nurse, I said, you don't have to pussyfoot around me. She's dying, isn't she? She wouldn't say that. Of course, they can't really say that, you know.
But they don't always know.
Well, no. Yeah. But I said, this is what her mother did. My grandmother, my mother's mother. When she was in nursing home and she was 93 and she decided that was it, she'd had enough, and she did the same thing as my mother was doing. She clamped down her jaws. Nothing could open them up. They couldn't get any food or fluids into her, and she died.
Well, my mother did the same thing, but my mother had dementia really bad. So, like his mother, I don't know what's with his mother right now, but my mother, they phoned me up one time all of a sudden and said, your mother's not taking any food or any fluids and she's got her mouth clamped shut. And so I went over the next day because we were away on the weekend. And so I went over as soon as I could. And sure enough, I watched them. They couldn't get any liquids into her or anything like that. So about 3 days later, she passed away. So
anyways, now part of it could be that I do think my mother was starting to get dementia of sorts as well, and maybe this low oxygen level or whatever. I mean, she's been on oxygen since August.
Yeah.
With that, they can't get her out of bed. She doesn't want to. You've heard me tell that story in the whole bit. Her quality of life is non-existent. There is no quality of life. Now, all of that has come about from her own devices. They said, if the hospital, with the exception of this whatever, I don't know why I can't say that word.
Now you're making it.
Anyways,
diverticulitis.
Yeah. They found nothing. Her blood work was fine. Her vitals were fine. Her lungs were clear. The whole bit. But Walter said that he had read that when someone spends that much time in bed, it does have it gives them breathing problems as well as other problems. And hi, Carol. And so this is all contributing to this. But the bottom line is, I think my mother has decided that she's going. This is the end. We think. But then again, my mother has a way of manipulating people. And I know this probably sounds horrible of me to say this and cruel, but who knows my mother better than I do? I know her very well. And I know that it would not be beyond her to do something like this. She may have been pissed off with me because she probably blamed me she doesn't like hospitals. And she probably blamed me for her going into the hospital. Well, it wasn't me who put her in the hospital. That was the staff doing their job. But, how do you respond to anything like that? Because she doesn't talk to me. And as I told you, she's completely a zombie right now. At least when I saw her yesterday. So I'm waiting. I have my sister on alert. I sent an email to my brother, which I have not heard anything from. I sent that off to him yesterday, and about the whole situation, and he has not responded to it because I told him, prepare yourself, because this might be the end here of it all. And yeah, my sister pretty much figures it is. And my sister has a very stoic attitude towards the whole thing. In basic, like, what more can we do? You know, it's not, and exactly.
It's hard to say because I've seen my for about 7 different times, and when my mom was in the nursing home, about 7 different times, everybody said, "Okay, this is it. This is the end," and then all of a sudden she perks up again.
Yeah.
So so it could be the end, or it could perk up again.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Is it wrong to just wish she'd get on with it? I mean,
in my mother's situation, she had 0 quality of life for the last 2 years that she was alive. She was always in bed. She had very bad dementia. She had she had really bad osteoporosis, and she had a permanently broken leg. So that wouldn't heal. So she was like in really bad shape for 2 years. And during the last year and a half or so of her life, I kept saying to my sister, I wish she would die, because it sounded bad, but it was painful to see her in that situation.
Well, that's the situation I'm in right now with my mother. The same thing. I mean, but she's been doing this for 7 years. It's been going down the tubes for 7 years. It's just lately it has progressed to this point where it's the worst that it has ever been. So I don't know. So anyways, we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. Nothing much I can do about it. I'm even up in the air. I can go over and I can see her, but if she's going to be the way she is, I mean, it's like, I don't think she even knows I'm there.
It's hard to say.
But that's the thing.
You know what's weird was when my mom did pass away, there was a night nurse there, and she came in and said, okay, she said to my mom, I have to leave because it's the end of my shift. So hopefully we'll see you again, or something like that. I can't remember what she said. And she just sort of said goodbye to her, right? And 5 minutes after that, she passed away.
Well, I don't know. Anyways, that's what this week is like. So thank you all for your condolences and things like that. And Billy, sorry to hear about your husband.
Yeah.
His heart is worse. That's not good. Teresa says, give yourself some love and self-care. You're doing your best. It doesn't mean it's easy to be where you are, but you're doing the best. And no, it isn't wrong. No, it's not wrong to wish an end to this. Not at all. As she said, quality of life. Yeah, I guess. And Billy says the hardest part is watching them suffer. Yes, it is. And I'll be honest about it. It's not all about me, but she is making me suffer. But my mother has always taken great delight from the day I was born to make my life miserable. And you're going to think that that is really an unkind thing to say. She's my mother. She gave me life and all that kind of stuff. Believe me, if anybody has been a selfish so-and-so, it has been my mother through her whole life. I mean, I'm sorry, I call a spade a spade. That has been the reality. I am not going to sugarcoat it for anybody about what my mother was like. She had her good points and everything like that. I don't hate my mother or anything, but lesser people that went through the things I did when I was growing up with her would hate her and would probably have left the family long ago, for less. I didn't, because I'm that kind of person. I've had this horrible loyalty streak in me, no matter what. So there you are. And I can't abandon her. There are times when I'd like to, but right now I am physically suffering. When I get uptight and tense, I have all my muscles in my body tighten up and don't release. And right now I'm just one great big huge knot. I've got a shooting pain down this one side of my leg. My back is sore. I got a kink in my neck. And my fingers are numb. I mean, and I know what it is. I know what it is. It's stress. But, of course, my brother, he doesn't seem to have any stress at all because it's out of sight, out of mind. That adds to my stress. And like I said to my sister, well, I said to her, what I'm dreading the most is if she passes away, all the bloody paperwork I'm going to have to go through and everything. I mean, I've been through it before when my father passed away. But this time it could be a little different because last time my father's will basically said that everything went to my mother, right? Logically, as it should. Well, now this time my mother's will, because we changed it after my dad passed away, it says that her estate, using the word estate is a bit of a misnomer, is divided basically equally amongst her 3 children. So my sister, my brother, and myself. And that's fine and dandy. And I just looked at her will this morning, and I thought I was the chief executor of the will, but I forgot that when we renewed her will, when we updated it, we made both my sister and I executors of the will. So we're co-executors. Not that that's a problem, really. It just means that there's an executor fee you can get. Now I sound like a gold digger. Now, it doesn't really matter. Like I said,
Actually, it's not going to be too bad because all you have to do is dissolve bank accounts. Your mother doesn't really have any RSPs, does she?
no.
Okay, so that is actually a bit of a pain in the butt.
Well, you talking though, she does have stocks. Not a lot.
Yeah, well, that isn't terrible. That's just sort of a bank account.
Yeah.
And she has TFSA, which isn't nobody in America will understand what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's a registered account. That takes a little bit of time to dissolve, but it's not very long.
Yeah. Well, anyways, but you know what they say too. Money at situations like this can really bring some trouble to your family.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to bring major problems to my family because 1, there's not a lot of money there. And 2, my sister, she knows exactly what everything is there. She won't have a problem. The only one I could have a problem with is my brother, and I don't think the problem would necessarily stem from my brother directly. It might stem from his wife. Because his wife hates my guts, and as far as she's concerned, and she will convince my brother, I've probably been embezzling from my mother for all these years since they know I have power of attorney and that I look after her finances. Well, the thing is, I keep really good books.
Yeah, well, that happened to my brother-in-law. His sister thought there was more money left. Should have been more money left than there was. And my brother-in-law's mother didn't have a lot of money to begin with, and she picked a great big huge fight that there wasn't the money left over that she thought there should have been. So
yeah, I don't know. What are people saying? My dad's mother treated him the exact way you went through. My dad was mistreated and ridiculed all his life by her. The best day was the day she passed. The stress was over and the suffering ended. Hi, Cheryl. Stephen, the paperwork will be there no matter when she passes. Hard to avoid that. Yeah, I know, Cheryl. I know that. And I've already planned out as much as I can. And again, you may find me a cruel and cold fish, but I've already planned her funeral. I mean, I haven't done the actual arrangements, but I have, after my father passed away, and it was very sudden with my dad, and I had never been through any of this stuff before. But I kept notes and I kept everything in a file. And a few weeks ago, actually, I went through all that stuff. I organized it all. I have key phone numbers I need of people I need to call, the lawyer information, all of her personal information, like her birth certificate. I have it. I have her social insurance card. I have the bank account numbers and all that kind of stuff. I have everything there because, of course, when she passes away, they'll immediately lock the bank account. And my power of attorney then also is done.
No, but that's not terrible. And funeral costs, the lawyer can get money out for funeral costs for you and stuff like that. So that's not a big deal.
So, yeah, I've done as much as I can in pre-planning to make life a little bit easier this time than it was my dad. And I've already talked to my sister, and I sent an email to my brothers already saying the same thing I said to my sister. I said, my idea is we're not going to have a huge funeral. My father's was fairly big affair. But my father was very well liked with the people he used to work with and everybody like that. And it was 7 years ago. There were still people alive that he knew. And so we had like a reception afterwards. The funeral parlor itself, the chapel, was packed. There was standing room only in that one. I don't think the same will be said about my mother.
Well, the other thing is a lot of the people that your parents knew were older, and you know, you don't necessarily need everybody to show up that hasn't seen her.
Well, that's what I figured. So I said to my sister, "What do you think of having just a private memorial service? My mother will be cremated, and
by invitation only."
Yeah, by invitation only. Also, I mean, I'm still like at this point in time, if this happens very soon, COVID is still here, so you know. Not going to be a leading cause of spreading that disease because of, you know, this kind of thing. And then it'll just be immediate family and who's ever left is very close friends, and there's not very many of them because my parents hung out with an older crowd than themselves, and a lot of them died. They're gone. So we'll do that, and then we'll just have people over to the house, you know. I'll get some trays of sandwiches and cheese and things, and we'll have booze. And we'll do that instead of doing it at the funeral facility. Because, I mean, they put on a nice spread and everything, but we paid a nice $1 for that, too. And not because I'm trying to cheap out or anything on this. It's just that I can't see the point. Like Walter said, there's people who have not seen my mother in years, who made no effort when they knew she was in a nursing home. They made no effort to call her. Or even when she was in the apartment by herself when my father had passed away and everything. Made no effort to contact her or see her or anything like that. So do we need people coming in and going, "I'm so sorry for your loss"?
Mm-hmm.
I never know what to say when you're in something like that. Yeah, she's dead. Okay.
And if you're not having like an open casket or anything.
No, we're not, because I don't believe in that. And with my dad, we did a memorial service. We had the urn. That was it. And I said to my sister too, and I also will see what my brother says about this, whether my brother will come to this one, because he didn't come to my father's. That's a story for another day. And everything. Yes, he does live 5,000 kilometers away, so it's not an easy thing. But I'm not going to wait weeks and weeks and weeks to have the memorial service to accommodate my brother when it's a convenient time for him. I had my father's ashes in an urn sitting in a liquor box on top of my dining room table until we could take it and intern it in the family plot, which is out of town with it. I'm not waiting like that. I'm not having my mother sitting on my dining room table. Okay? I just want everything done and over with at the time. So, yeah. So we'll see. My sister seems to be good with all of that. She said, not a problem. And she was with me when we made the arrangements for my dad the last time, too. And we're both on the same page because you know what they're going to do. And there's one guy, I got to look up his name. Because when I go into the funeral place, if he's the guy they assign to me, I'm going to ask for somebody else. Because he was the little ambulance chase.
Keeps phoning you up and trying to get you to pre-plan a funeral. Mm-hmm. So
I told him in no uncertain terms I wasn't doing it. I'd call him when I needed his services. Then I got an email from him the other day. Hadn't heard from him for a while, so I figured that worked. Then there was an email from him about, you know.
Well, he's on a commission. He wants to make.
Yeah, well, used car salesmen I don't deal with, and used casket salesmen I don't deal with either. So too bad. Anyways, what are people saying here? Your lawyer, Teresa, says, should estimate the hours you spend doing executor duties and pay you and your sister accordingly before dividing the estate. Well, actually, how the executor works that we know is I'm entitled to 5% of the estate.
Well, that's the approximate estate. I don't know. Then there's like, okay, you know that when my sister passed away, she didn't want to appoint me or my other sister as an executor. She wanted to get us both back for pain and suffering we caused her. I don't know. I think it's really...
It was more the other way around. It was the other way around.
But anyway, so she picked this friend of hers to be the executor, right? Oh, and my sister always good saying, oh, well, I'm just doing that because then you don't have to worry about it. Well, it was more worried that she was in this bitch, was an executor, then if we were had to do it ourselves. And in the meantime, she took her percentage, right? She took her percentage that for being the executor, and then she added on top of that another charge for pain and suffering.
Yeah. Oh, your sister knew who to pick.
Oh yeah,
for that.
she was a winner.
Not
only that, she tried to kibosh what we were doing for the funeral too, because we weren't doing what she liked to do.
And
for the funeral, and I said
she was a lesbian.
I said to her, "Well, it's not your sister, so."
But your sister picked somebody that was a lesbian.
Yeah.
And not your sister was a lesbian. But I remember the day of the memorial service for your mom, and we made the memory board and thing, and I was putting it up, and she decided it was going to go in a corner somewhere, and she didn't really count on me standing up to her.
Yeah.
Because I do not like lesbians. As far as I'm concerned, they can be run over by their own 4x4 truck. I think what would be really nice to see is a picture of a lesbian with a house on top of her, and you know she was a lesbian because there'd be Birkenstocks hanging out. So, yeah. Do you get the feeling I don't like lesbians? Yeah.
Well, no, her especially.
Yeah, she was a ball-busting bitch, but she had not run into me before. And I remember saying to her,
she would always phone my other sister all the time and try to make sure that I was being fair at how things were being distributed out of my dead sister's house.
Yeah, she was.
She'd say she wanted to make sure I wasn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was something else. So what are people saying here? I got to back up, see what's going on. Where's my cursor? Let's see. Hi, Jackie, from sunny California. Cheryl said, working on my mom's estate with my brother this week, setting up a trust for her. She lives alone, is 88. Have to be prepared. Yeah. It's always good to pre-plan these things. Andy says, Jeannie and I were there when our baby sister died, and we planned her funeral together. Jeannie was an enormous comfort for me. Sister support meant everything to me. Yeah. Thanks, Judith. You might be surprised, Teresa says, that your brother might just show up, seeing as the will gets divided this time. Well, who knows?
He doesn't necessarily know. Steve's parents didn't have a lot of money.
The most money that they ever had, or the most money my mother ever had, was what she has right now in her bank account, which came from the sale of their house.
Yeah. But prior to that, they owed Pala money. So
yes, and we paid
so
for
his
a lot
brother
of stuff.
Knew that there was a lot of debts there.
Mm-hmm.
So he has no idea how much money she has.
It's not my brother that I'm that concerned about. It's my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, because basically she rules the roost. She doesn't like me, and she will convince my brother that there are things happening that really aren't happening. I mean, to be honest, my brother and I are not close, but it's not like we hate each other's guts. We just are very different people, my brother and I, and we're 4 years apart in age. And
there was a lot of animosity that occurred at the time of his dad's funeral, but it was sort of like self-inflicted on his brother. No,
what do you mean by that?
Your brother inflicted a lot of that on himself.
Yes, he did.
Right, and he doesn't see it that way, and he's blaming Steve and his sister and his mother for what happened. So
I mean, basically, my brother had a cruise planned for his 25th wedding anniversary, and then after that was over, he was going off with his buddies to golf in Scotland. And in the dates in between those two dates, they were very close to each other. And I tried to arrange Dad's memorial service because, I mean, Dad hadn't been sick. He just died.
Yeah, he died
in his sleep
a week before their cruise was going to take place, and of course that they probably didn't have cancellation.
No, because my brother wouldn't have something like that. And I have a feeling there was a trade-off there. I think his wife said, "If you want to go to Scotland to golf, then I want to go on. It's our 25th wedding anniversary. I want to go on a cruise," because they'd never been on a cruise before. So I think there was some negotiation going on there. Well, yeah, I get the thing, like a disappointment here. No one planned. You don't plan for someone's death like that, okay? It came out of the blue. No one was expecting it, and I had to handle it.
And his brother's only response at the time was, he would be in the area for only a few hours on a particular day, which happened to be a statutory holiday as well.
Yeah.
And he said, well, he might be able to make it then.
And I said, well, that's not going to work because the funeral home, I'd already been to the funeral home. Well, I had told my brother I would call him when I found out what the funeral home could do for us and everything like that. Well, we couldn't get, it would have been weeks before we could have had the memorial service, which I suppose we could have waited and all of that, except I asked my mother. I said, it was her husband. I said to my mother, what do you want to do, Mom? Do you want, this is the situation here. She says, I don't want to be waiting around. She says, I want this over with. And I said, okay. So she said, the sooner, the better. I said, all right. I went with my mother's wishes. It was her husband. Okay. Well, my sister-in-law got into a conflab with my sister on the phone. They weren't coming out for the funeral, but they were going to send 2 of their 3 children.
And they had already booked flights, assuming what the date would be.
Yeah. And I'd already told them, wait. I said, I'm trying for it around this date, but because I was trying to accommodate them. But I couldn't get those dates. They weren't available. And I said, don't do anything. I will call you back. This was all on the same day. In the morning, I found out my father had passed away. At 10 o'clock that day, my sister and I were at the funeral home. I had talked to my brother on the phone when he wouldn't answer his phone. When I called them, it was 6 o'clock in the morning their time when I called them. We're 3 hours difference. It was 9 o'clock here. He didn't pick up the phone. I asked my mother, do you have Craig's cell phone number, his work one? She thought she did, and we found it. And I called him at work on his cell phone, and he answered that one. And then I got 2-word answers from him. Must have learned that from my mother. And I told him I would call him that night as soon as I had found out all the particulars. In the meanwhile...
Yeah, the kids booked flights, not even knowing what date it would be.
No. And my sister-in-law called my sister about it all. And they got into it. My sister said, why are you doing this? We haven't even got a date yet. Nothing. We don't know yet. We're still trying to get this all figured out and the whole bit. And I guess they got into it. And then my sister-in-law hung up on my sister. Then I got a phone call from my sister. And you don't hang up on my sister. You don't do that. And I thought, so I had to hold the phone out to hear. It was like, and I says, okay, Lori. I said, just settle down. I said, I will give them a call and try to get this sorted out. So I called them. I got my sister-in-law on the phone. And I was pleasant to her. I said, okay, I understand that you were talking to Lori, and she said something about that you have these flights for the kids all booked and everything. And I said, well, Margaret, I told Craig on the phone that I would call him and let him know what the funeral place has told me. The arrangements and everything when I knew. And I said, she said, well, Craig said it was going to be on such and such. I says, no. I said, we were throwing dates around at the time I talked to Craig. I hadn't at that point even got to my appointment yet at the funeral home to discuss it all. Well, she had done this the whole bit, and she's starting to yell at me. She says, okay, Margaret, there's one of 2 ways this conversation can carry on. I said, you keep talking to me like that, and I said, and I'll hang up on you, just like you did on my sister. Or we can be civil here. Well, she sort of settled down for a minute, but you could hear in the back of her voice that she did not like the way I spoke to her. Well, too bad. Fuck off,
and then
bitch.
after that, it was like all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
His brother wouldn't talk to him for
a
couple of years.
Well, he hadn't been talking to me anyways up at that point. He was
Yeah.
never asked. I was sending him regular updates about Mom and Dad's conditions and everything, and I got nothing from him. So finally, when Mom went into the hospital, when it, from her apartment, and we were waiting to get her in a nursing home.
That was about 2018, right?
Yeah, that was 2018.
Yeah.
With that, well, my brother happened to be, and my sister-in-law happened to be out here to visit her family. And I had told my brother that she was in the hospital and whatnot. So they came over to see her But the thing was, they didn't count on the fact that we happened to be there at the same time. It was a coincidence. So they just about shit their pants because we're walking out of the place. They walked in and they saw us and went, oh. And I talked to my brother. I told him this situation with mom right now and everything and what we're doing and whatnot. And then we left. And it was fairly civil. But I said to him, Craig, if you want to know more information or stuff, I don't know how long you're going to be out in this end of the world, but give me a call and we can have a talk. Now, I didn't figure he'd call me, but he did. And I got the distinct feeling that he couldn't say too much while he was talking to me because I think his wife was standing at the other end, possibly on an extension listening. I don't know at the time. But one thing that came out of that conversation was my brother thought that it was I had made all the arrangements against them. And I said, it was Mom's decision when we were having the memorial service. It wasn't my decision. I told him what I just said a minute ago. I asked her what she wanted, and this is what she wanted. Oh. But then I figure after he got off the phone, my sister-in-law probably said to him, well, he just lies. He's just blaming it all on your mother. So I don't know. So we'll see what happens out of this. But anyways. Let's see what it says. Judith says, stay strong. Well, can't do much more, can I? When my sister passed away, Jackie says, 4 months later, to have even a private service, it was too hard to wait so long. Yeah, I know.
Waiting a long time. Actually, what happens is, I know the funeral home calls it closure or whatever, but actually, I can't imagine waiting that long. Even when my mom passed away, my sister was in Florida at the time, and she asked me at the time when my mom was in the process of passing away if I went. She had just gotten there, and they drove down. And she says, I can get a flight back if you think that you need me there, right? And I said to her, look, by the time you get the flight back, she would have passed away, right? So I said, no, just stay down there. I know she had a lousy time when she was down there, but I made the funeral arrangements myself. We had already pre-talked about what would happen. And then I waited for her to get back to have the memorial thing done. But that was only about a week and a half after my mom passed away. And even that felt like a long time to wait for.
Yeah, well, that's
because we wanted it just to be over and done with this type of thing.
Yeah, you don't want it to linger around, at least in my opinion, you don't. It's done. Let's get on with life. Now, yeah, we'll see. Daphne says, I thought you get a percentage of the estate. Well, yeah, it's up to 5%, but I have the choice. I can say I don't want it.
Yeah, like when my mom passed away, it was just my sister and myself left type of thing. And I did all the power of attorney stuff. I looked after my mother's money all the years that she was in a nursing home. And my sister said to me, we went to the lawyer together, and my sister said to me, well, the lawyer says, as an executor, you can take a percentage of, I don't know, I think it was 5% or something like that, of the estate. And I said there with my sister in the room, I said, no, I'm not going to take any money for it. And they said, my sister said, you should take it. You do a lot of work and all this other stuff for it. And the lawyer said, are you sure that you don't want to take it? And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't want to take it. So I never did take any. And all I did was I settled all the accounts out, and I did an accounting for my sister of where the money went and everything. And that was it.
Yep. So I don't know. I'll have to talk to my sister about it because actually we're co-executors, as I already said. So, I mean, technically we could split it between the two of us. But that might cause problems with my brother. I don't know. And I would rather not have the problems, and I don't know. I'll have to talk over with my sister.
I mean, in some ways, you almost want to take it because of the fact that your brother hasn't been any support.
Well,
really.
The other thing, too, is it cost me $20,000 in my first year of retirement to bail my parents out of debt. We were paying for their lawn service because my dad couldn't do it anymore. We were paying for that because we couldn't run over there all the time and do it. Actually, we started doing that before I retired.
Yeah, I can't remember. I was still working at the time.
Yeah, I was still working too.
Yeah.
When we started that. Then when I did retire and Dad was getting worse, I was paying for a service to come in and give my mother some relief time so she could go out, do her shopping, get her hair done, and things like that. I took my father once a week to a program for people in his condition, where they would keep him entertained for a day, like kind of a deal. It was
babysitting.
It was basically, yeah. He says, I don't want to go there. It's like kindergarten. But it gave my mother a day besides the other where she could go out and do her own stuff because she was struggling with looking after him.
And you paid for that.
And I paid for that. And that wasn't particularly
and other things happened too, like they didn't have any money.
Yeah.
Right, because they had remortgaged their house so many times. And they had and all their money was going to the mortgage kind of thing and food. So anything over and above that, plus they had a car that was many years old that they kept refinancing all the time.
Yeah, that was leased.
So then, they needed a new lawnmower, so we went out and bought a new lawnmower.
They needed a new barbecue. We bought them a new barbecue at one point in time. Anything that they needed, we basically bought. We bought an air conditioning unit.
No, your brother bought the air conditioning unit. You had to.
We had to install it. We had to figure. That's right. He bought that. But that was a pity.
That was
thing.
a guilt gift.
Yeah, with that one. But anything. I went through all of their finances. I got rid of things that they were paying installments on for nothing. Like they had a life insurance policy that wouldn't pay out anything, and they were paying that every month. They had credit card debt. I paid off their credit cards. They had still owed $1,600 on their car. I bought the lease out, and then we sold the car.
And they had an extended warranty on old appliances.
Yeah, that was like that. And they were paying still for a new furnace that they had installed years before. Like the house needed it, but they did that easy monthly payment plan. They had all this stuff, and I had to go through it all and figure it all out and get rid of the stuff that I thought, you're being taken down the road on this kind of a thing. So yeah, it cost me, and I had just retired. So suddenly my income is cut by half, actually more than half, with my pension and everything. And luckily enough, we were in a financial position where we could do this, but that's because we didn't owe anybody any money, unlike my parents. So I had to go through all of that, and I'll never forget the day that my father ended up in a nursing home, and we had a screen crisis, and because he was just completely bonkers, because his dementia was so severe. My mother was at her wit's end. She couldn't handle him. We were getting called at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning to come and pick my father up because he'd gotten out of bed, and my father couldn't walk anymore, and he'd end up on the floor. And it was a wonder he didn't really hurt himself when he did that. But how he could get wedged between a heavy chair and the wall, and we tried to get him out, we couldn't lift him. My father was a very sturdy man. He weighed 240 pounds maybe. He's about my height. Well, my build, the same. I kind of look like my dad. Except I'm alive. And we'd go over there, and there would just be, he was limp. He was like Jello. There were times when I had to call the paramedics because we could not physically lift him up. We did this all the time. Meanwhile, my brother's in BC, oblivious to it all. Well, he wasn't oblivious. I told him about it, but I got no answers from that. So yeah, if I wanted to take money for pain and suffering, maybe I should take the executor fee. But, I'm not in this for the money because there isn't any money there, really. Yeah, there's a little bit. to be quite honest, I could probably come out of this once it's all divided up between the three of us and all her bills are paid for, or what she has, like the final income tax and all that stuff. There might be $60,000 in it for me, maybe. Okay. Well, it's $60,000, but in this day and age, that's nothing. And so we're not.
Maybe you shouldn't be broadcasting that. You'll have all the you'll have people bugging you for money.
$60,000, they won't buy them a chocolate bar anymore. So I don't know. But anyway, so that's what I've been going through. We've been going through this week, but we went through some other things. There were high moments this week. Walter got to go to a
live retreat.
Live retreat.
Real people.
And if we've got a lot of details about that on this week's So Chatty too, but he got to go and meet up with Ron Collins. Oh, Ron, you're so dreamy. Oh, you and Brendan. Oh, the fanboys. So what did you learn quickly? What did you do?
Some pattern alterations, and that was the first day. How to alter your pattern for weird body shapes. And
well, that should have been good.
And the second day was it was a jeans fitting type thing. But he had created, it was kind of amazing. There were two jeans patterns, but they were women's patterns. And jeans women's patterns. And he had 37 Muslims that he created himself for women to fit into. Of course, they didn't have anything for guys, so I had to make my own Muslim. So I did. I made this. This is my...
Sure, white pants for the next white party we go to.
Yeah. Actually, I've almost finished them as pants. I didn't put zipper in. But okay, so they're like porno pants. But
porno pants.
But anyway, Ron pinned it all up for me and altered my pattern so that I could it would fit a little better, because it's a little baggy in the seat and it's a little baggy down the legs. So he altered it for me. Altered my pattern for me. So I got that. That was kind of cool. And Ron is a well-renowned sewist or sewer or whatever.
And he's so dreamy.
And he's kind of cute. And
that's all I heard.
And he has very good sewing techniques and that. And he does produce men's patterns for Vogue. So I have a copy of one of his patterns. Actually, this will be a future project. It's a bomber jacket. So so I got pattern for that.
Now I know what to get you for Christmas. Bombs.
Huh?
Well, it's a bomber jacket. You need bombs.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Molotov cocktail, anyone?
That was really good. And the last day we did, it was all about sewing rounded pockets, pockets for shirts and for actually more for suits and stuff that were rounded so they looked even. And in two different styles. One was just one that was sewn on, and the second style was how to do a pocket that has no sewing on the outside. Mm-hmm. And that was really cool.
Oh, glue gun?
Yeah, almost. And so you couldn't see any exterior stitches, and that was really impressive. And then in the afternoon, he showed us all the different seam finishes, like I think there was French seam, double French seam, turned over seam,
Hong Kong seam,
which
I still don't know what that is. But
there's something called, I'm not sure, it's something wool type seam. And then there was a faux flat felt seam, a flat felt seam, and then the other thing that he showed us is he had this neat shirt where he had these darts in it, and he showed us how to thread your sewing machine so that it's only threaded from the bobbin. Right, there's no top thread, all threaded from the bottom. So the bobbin thread actually goes through your needle and through your thread path backwards. And when you sew the dart from the start, it becomes a loop, so there's no tie-off point, so you can sew it. so that there's no tie-off point, and that was really impressive. I don't know what you'd use it for, but it was impressive.
All I know is you came home every day just on a cloud nine, just swooning. And then Ron showed us, and then he showed us, and then Ron said, and then Ron thought.
He showed us a few other things too. Like, I mean, when I do these shirts, I use his way of doing the collars, which actually has no bulk in the tips of the collars. You do have a seam in the back, but there's no extra bulk in the collars. And it's a one-piece collar as opposed to a two-piece collar. And he showed a way to take the bulk out of your the front of your pants too, on the waistband. So I'm looking forward to doing that in actual practice.
So when can I expect my first pair of nice pants?
Well,
and I don't want them in jean material.
Well, actually, I don't have jean material. I've got it in stretch cotton twill.
Because all I have is jeans anymore. Ever since I retired, that's all I wear.
Like I say, I was going to have you try on that pattern just to see how it is, and then maybe I can create one for you.
Ooh, okay. We'll go with that. So what people saying here, just backing up for a second. Anyways, Walter does go into much more, the whole So Chatty this week that's up now. He talks in detail about a lot of this stuff. So if you're interested, check that out.
I mean, the class wasn't super cheap. Each day cost us $140 for the class. And there's about 10 people in the class, but it was really worthwhile. So
yes, I know. I've heard all kinds of things about it. Yeah, Teresa said, after my grandfather died, my grandmother went into an apartment, so most of the household was to be divided. The daughter from the furthest away, P.I., showed up with a truck. Yeah. Andy says, death in the aftermath brings out the best and the worst in people. True. Wendy says, does it really matter you don't see him anyway? No, it doesn't matter, Wendy, really, but he is my brother. Okay? And although we may not be close, he's still family. And
you never know. Sometime down the road, who knows?
And after all, he is the father of my niece and two of my nephews as well, who I have not seen in a long time. Teresa,
you said you didn't have the usual rituals. Actually, when my dad passed away, we had a closed casket, and we did have the casket. We had a memorial service with his casket there, but they went for cremation. And then my mom, but I didn't see him die, and I didn't see him afterwards, and it didn't bother me. I knew he was dead. So.
Like I didn't want to see my father. They were trying to tell me at the funeral home that I needed to identify my father. And Walter knew that wasn't true. There is not a law that says in these circumstances that I had to identify him. And I did not want to see my father dead because I didn't want that as my last memory of my father. And you see, they were trying to nickel and dime me every which way. And, well, it didn't work for them very well.
Like when I went, when my sister passed away, my other sister and I were there when she passed away in the hospital. And again, the funeral home said, well, you're going to have to identify the body. And I turned around to him and I said, well, do you make mistakes? So I didn't identify the body there, and they didn't seem to have a problem with that because, I mean, it was at the hospital. We saw her pass away, and that's it, right? And then for my mom's situation, they tried to get me to identify the body again. But I was with my mom when she passed away. And they said, well, you don't really need to do that. I said, well, I don't want to do it. And I don't want to see her again after that. My sister was in Florida at the time. I said, you're okay that I just send her body straight to cremation. That's not a problem, right? And she says, yeah, that's fine. So we did that. We're fine with it. We got as much closure as we need for that. She knows that I'm not going to lie that I saw my mother pass away.
No, I mean, what I saw yesterday when I went in to see my mother might as well have been seeing a corpse because that's what she looked like.
But we don't. We never really needed the major rituals that people think that you should. The usual rituals that you think. I mean, I'm. That's just me. That's my family. It happens to be.
And that's me too. I don't
thing, and
don't need the hullabaloo.
I've never had regrets or anything
No.
like that. In fact, I was happy with the way things went. So
I would rather remember the person as
alive,
and well, like I'd rather, like right now, I'd rather remember what my mother was like, even though she could be a bitch. What she was like when she was at the prime of her life and that kind of thing. When my mother was an active person, when she was out doing this and doing that and the whole bit, and maybe giving some of us grief. But nevertheless, that's the way I would prefer to remember my mother, not the way she is right now in the nursing home.
yeah. Well, you know, like
So-
I saw my mom get worse and worse in the nursing home, and I did see her pass away in the nursing home, and I don't regret being there when that happened. I did see her, you know, when she passed away, but I mean, I think it would have been worse for me, if they had made her up and put her in a casket and I had to see that. I saw her in her natural state when she passed away.
Yeah.
So, that's not usually how I remember my mother. When I do remember the good things about my mother, I remember when she was healthy and she was herself and fun. I don't like thinking about the times when she was in a nursing home.
Yeah, exactly. So Daphne says, "Can you get the 20,000 back or part of it?" Not really. I mean,
It's gone.
it's gone. It's down the road now.
I mean, at the time we spent all of that too. Well, Steve's sister said she didn't have any money for contributing.
Yeah.
Because she had a family.
Well, she had kids going to university and stuff like that, and yeah, I got that.
And so we were kind of stuck with it because we were two guys that didn't have any kids. So
yeah, so thanks. Double income, no kids. Cheryl says 60,000 would buy you all the gadgets for your long arm and some other toys. Well, don't think I haven't thought of that, Cheryl. I mean, yeah, it might be kind of small of me to think about it, but let's face it, we all have those thoughts, don't we? So having a pants pattern that fits is priceless, Cheryl says. Marilyn saw the So Chatty episode too. Oh, Marlene says, sneak view, what's on the printer, please? Okay, what just came out, that thing that's pointy, that's a Christmas tree. That I found a pattern for a model for today, and it's done in copper filament. And I'd bring it up and show it to you closer, but I can't because it now has to cool off before I can get it off the printer. But I'll be showing it probably tomorrow. I'm thinking of making a whole grouping of these, and they are hollow. So I can put an electric LED light in them and they'll glow. So my latest project. What I have been making, and I'm going to show it tomorrow though, is we went over to my sister's for Thanksgiving dinner last Sunday because it was Thanksgiving here in Canada last weekend, as you probably know. And we went over there for dinner, and I had made, and I showed that to you, a dice tower for my niece, a 3D printed one, because she's into Dungeons and Dragons. She plays it on a regular basis. She's really major into it.
she's a major nerd.
She's a major nerd, yeah. But anyways, so I got that for her, and I didn't really know whether she'd like it or not. Well, when I took it over and she took it out of the bag, she immediately said, "Oh, a dice tower." And she loved it. She thought it was great. So I was pleased with that. And my nephew, I'd made him this sort of a jokey thing because he's a Maple Leaf fan and they haven't won Stanley Cup in 50 years or longer. Like 1967 was the last time they won the Stanley Cup. So I had a series of Stanley Cups with the Maple Leaf logo on the front of it. And I put on the first one, which was the biggest trophy, 1967 champions. Then the next one's a little smaller and it says, "Maybe this year." And then the last one's a tiny one, went, "It's not happening." He thought that was hilarious, so he liked that. But anyways, I was asking my niece about the Dungeons and Dragons characters, because there's figurines you can buy or something that's quite pricey of all these major characters, and you can get them already painted or whatever, or you can paint your own or whatnot. Well, I said, sure, well, go on to Thingiverse, that's where I get a lot of my models for 3D printing, and said, if you see something that you like and you want me to try to print it out, let me know and I'll get it and print it out for you. Well, I haven't heard anything from her, but then I went looking and I found 14 characters. So I've been making them all this week. So I've got them done now. I'm giving them to her at Christmas time. I don't know if they'll suit her purposes or not. But I've got them all. They're kind of cool to print. So, yeah. So now I'm working on Christmas decorations again. And I have been working on, I just started this morning. It's a table runner. I bought a kit. While Walter was off at his little course thing, I was kind of bored. And I was quilting my quilt. I'm going to show it to you in a minute for my niece for Christmas. Same niece that the Dungeons and Dragons stuff is for. But I found this kit at the store, and I've started putting together. It's not done yet, but it's a Christmas table runner. It has to be trimmed up. It has to be layered, and it has to be quilted and then bound. But this gives you a little idea of what it's like. I don't know how well it's showing up. So, yeah, that's as far as I got on it today. It's almost done. Well, almost done as in it's almost ready to get it layered to put it on Lucy and get her all done with that. And I had a quilt. I have several quilts that are UFOs that I've never got around to quilting. And I said to my niece, I said, so what's your favorite color? She says purple. And my nephew's is blue. So I said, I'll make you a quilt for Christmas, each of your beds. And they seem to be okay with that. I don't know if they're thrilled or not, or maybe just humoring me, but whatever. So I had a Borgello quilt that I made, and I put it on Lucy, and I got it all done, and I'll show you a picture of it. Let's see here. Where is my picture? And go over here. And this is going to be for my niece, and it's a Bargello. It's a style of quilt with all those lines and things. It's got purple in it, and it's a fairly good size. It's about...
I should like it. It's sort of rainbowy.
It's rainbowy colors, and my niece is a member of the LGBTQ community, sort of. We're not sure what part she fits into, but anyways. And so you can see my quilting on it. I did it with a pantograph. Where you trace it, follow it around. But I think it turned out pretty good. So I think she'll like it. Now, I've got another UFO in there that I think will be good for my nephew. So I'm going to probably later this week get it up on the long arm and layer it and quilt it as well. So, yeah, that's what I've been up to making. Where's our camera here? Here we go. So anyways, we do have... On Tuesday, we have a course at Whirls and Swirls, which is the long arm place where we got our long arm. And it's an all-day course showing us the ins and outs and maintenance and things like that. So we have that on Tuesday, unless I'm making funeral arrangements. But we'll see. I don't know. I have this premonition. Oftentimes my premonitions are right, but we'll see. Anyway, so we got that coming up, and yeah, what else? Did we do anything else exciting? No. Dinner at my sister's was nice. She had pretty much the standard turkey and everything. Haven't had turkey in a while. It was nice. It was a nice evening. And of course, we've got vaccine passports now. They rolled that out this weekend, the QR code. And
yeah, except it was a little bit of a pain in the butt to try and figure out how to
yeah,
get
well, anything from the Ontario government's a pain in the butt anyways. But
it wasn't necessarily easy to get them.
No, that's for sure. But we have them now, so if we choose to go to a restaurant or some public venue, they're supposed to ask you for that, and you can show it to them. I'm not running off to anything like that yet. I'm still not sure about this kind of stuff. What's going on. I mean, we're still not fully vaccinated in this province. We still have the holdouts and whatnot. And now we're moving into flu season, or flu shot season.
Our area, I checked it today, I think it was 81.7% are vaccinated. So fully vaccinated.
Fully? Double vaxxed? So anyway, so we'll see. But whatever. And what else is coming up? Nothing.
Oh yeah, did your pantographs arrive yet? No,
No.
they're all
No.
still on their way.
Well,
Soon.
they have left Chicago and they are in Canada now, and they've gone through customs and they're in Mississauga, and they say that I'm supposed to get them on Tuesday. So we'll see. I also have some filament though for my 3D printers ordered from BC. It's really good filament. I've ordered some from them before. They're a kind of a new company, but they make really good filament at a reasonably good price as well. And in fact, they're so good they call you. I had a call from the guy who owns the company, asking me. I guess there was a little mix-up. I'd ordered black, gray, and a white, because they really don't have any other colors but that right at the moment, although they're supposed to be releasing purple soon. And he said, I guess the guy that filled my order, he got the wrong box in, so I got 2 blacks and a white coming. But he said, don't worry about it. He says, I'll send you the gray and everything. So I guess bonus, I'm getting a free one of filament. He didn't say he wanted the other one back. But they sent me a tracking number for Campar, which is a courier service. And I put that sucker in, and it says it's not valid. So I've sent him an email, just,
Well, it could be that it's not valid yet. Maybe they hadn't had the box yet or not.
Well, yeah, they'd had it for like over 3 days, because they sent me
I don't know.
stuff. So I don't know, but we'll see. Usually it's pretty fast when they send it out from BC,
Yeah.
so we'll see. And I'm still waiting for another thing from BC too, which, that one I don't have a tracking number for, because they wanted to. I bought a ruler for the long arm for ruler foot quilting from a place called Silly Moon in BC. I'd heard about them. They had been interviewed by one of the podcasters that I listen to on a regular basis for quilting. And I checked out their website. And they looked like they had some really cool products, and prices weren't bad. But shipping was only $2.95 coming from Canada Post from BC. But if you wanted a tracking number for it, it was going to cost you $16 more. Well, the ruler was only $40 Canadian. So I thought, I'll take the chances. But then I looked at their fine print after I'd ordered it and the whole bit. And I don't like the tone of their fine print. It essentially says, we're not responsible once it gets into the Canadian Postal Service, and we won't give a refund, we won't do an exchange, we won't do this, blah, blah, blah. And it left a bad taste in my mouth, so I'm waiting. It supposedly was shipped over a week ago out, from according to them. So I haven't seen it yet. So be my luck that the thing, I didn't get tracking on it. But they won't hear the last of me, because I think that's nasty business. And I don't like nasty business. So I'll call them out. Anyways, we'll see when that comes. So, yeah. Thanks for the comments on the quilt. Tree says, my last postal snafu, I ordered some takes from USA place, and when it arrived, I got the card. Went to pick it up, not there, and after 2 days I figured out it had been sent back to the depot. 2 weeks later, I got a call from the vendor that the package had been returned as refused. I didn't even get the chance to refuse it, so she resent it, resent it, and got it this time, and the duty they wanted.
I've never had that happen.
No, but there have been mysterious things that happen with Canada Post, because, let's face it, they don't hire the cleverest of people as posties. Like, I swear, the ones that we have can't read at all.
Sounds to me like somebody at the post office decided to throw it and they refused or whatever before you had a chance to pick it up.
Yeah. So anyways, we shall see. We shall see. I did go and buy some fabric. I'm going to show that on Idiot Quilter this week. That day that I was a little bored, I needed some retail therapy while Walter was glowing and just playing puppy dog eyes with Ron Collins. Oh, he's so dreamy, and he sews. Yeah. Pass me that basket, please.
No.
So, I think it may have been Cheryl. Cheryl, didn't you do the Avatrex medallion quilt, and you sent me the pattern for that? Well, I'm going to do it, and these are my fabrics for it. Right here. All batiks. And I went up to the place, and actually, fat quarters have dug. These are all fat quarters, because in the pattern it says it takes 25 fat quarters. So I thought I would do it all in batiks like this. And I asked them, how much are your fat quarters? in this place. And this is a place I don't go to very often because it's one of the only few quilting stores I've ever been in that the first time I went in there, they gave me attitude because I was a male. And that left a bad taste in my mouth until I dropped about $400. Then suddenly I was their best friend. But I said, so how much are your fat quarters? It said $5.50. And I went, whoa, that's pricey. Things have gone up. Because at Ultimate Sewing, they're usually only $3.50, $3.75. But I can't get the selection there.
She doesn't usually have boutiques that much.
No, not in the fat quarters. So, but if you bought 5 or more, the price dropped to $5 a fat quarter. So I bought 25 of them. And I bought that pattern that I showed you that I was working on for the Christmas table runner. So anyways, so Cheryl, yeah, I'm at some point I'm going to get started on that. Two little
but their fabric is usually pretty pricey at that store.
Yeah, that is.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, they're usually about $22, $22 a meter, which is a little bit on the pricey side. Jeannie says, I'm taking a ruler class from Silly Moon Quilting in January. You'll have to tell us how that works out, Jeannie. I mean, I hear good things about them. I just read the fine print and it just left a bad taste in my mouth. But we'll see. I mean, my ruler comes through and everything like that.
Who knows? Maybe they just put that out so that people don't try and take advantage of it.
Well, that could be too. That could be too. So we'll see. Because I'm a big one on customer service. That, that's the number one thing. I'll pay a little bit more from a place so that gives you excellent customer service, and because I figure it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways.
And you'd think that a company would give you good customer service because then if you get bad customer service, you wouldn't come back, and you may tell people about it.
Oh, I will. You can bet on that. I will. But I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt right now. We'll see. It'll probably arrive next week or something. So we'll see out of it all. Okay, well, anything else new and exciting that you want to bring up? No? Okay. Well, I think that's it, people. So thank you for bearing with me as I went on about my mother for an hour. Yeah. Keep you abreast of what happens there. Who knows? And whatever. Vlog will be up tomorrow. Idiot Quilter will be up on Tuesday. If all goes well. Of course, I have that course too that we're taking, but I usually am up early enough that I get that stuff out of the way. We'll have another So Chatty. I don't know what we're going to talk about this week on So Chatty. We'll find something to talk about. Maybe Walter can show you how he does a pants fitting for me. Yeah, maybe not. I'm not wearing that leotard thing you bought.
Well, actually, I didn't have to wear the leotard. Actually, they told us in the first day that we were going to do body measurements, and that it was recommended that you wear a leotard, right? So,
how becoming?
So I did buy a pair. Well, not a full leotard. I had a t-shirt on, and I did buy a pair of pants that were tight fitting, like they were leotard style pants. They're actually kind of like long underwear, but anyway, silky long underwear. Anyway, so
did Ron like them?
But Brendan said, "Well, we can manage to do it without it." So I said, "Fine." I didn't really want to wear them anyway. So.
Yeah, well, spared. Okay, I think it's time to go. So thanks everybody for joining us again today, and thanks Carol for the sentiment there as well, and we'll see. Take it one day at a time. Okay, everybody, so have a good what's left of the weekend, and we'll see you next week, if not before. So say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye.